Royal Television, showcasing the Niger Delta.
We are here to discuss some of these issues that have been disturbing the Niger Delta. You know, it was the issue of insecurity before, insecurity from there to hostage taking and kidnapping. Now it's pipeline vandalization. Now the latest trend now is local illegal bunkering, and that is illegal refining of the crude oil. Sir, what do you think led to all this?
Well, they say, and the idle mind is the devil's workshop. A lot of youth men, people are not employed, and so they take to other forms of livelihood. And one of the things is stealing by force, or engaging in criminal activities like this so-called bunkering. Like we mentioned earlier, if licenses are given to people to open up mini refineries, and then maintaining the existing ones, if possible, possibly expanding these refineries, then this illegal bunkering thing will stop. Besides, the oil exploring companies themselves too are not maintaining the pipelines properly. Some of them become rusty, and then the crude oil will ooze out and pollute the environment. This pollution, as we earlier mentioned, is not only aerial, it is also subterranean, because the acid rain now brings down these things. They sink through the soil, and then even affects the water. The water level gets to the water level. And so when you sink some boreholes, you may not get pure water as you think. The water itself is contaminated.
So you see, you just said something just now. You said that the first, you said an idle mind is the workshop of the devil.
Yes.
So these youths or the people that are involved in this pipeline vandalism now is because they don't have what they are doing. That's why they go into this.
They are not employed.
And secondly, you said the oil companies abandon some of this pipeline and allow them to rust, and they begin to leak. That's what leads to some of this use. You go in there to pack them and begin to refine them. Okay. But the oil companies, they are saying that this act is an act of sabotage, that they've never abandoned any of their pipeline at any time, unless they are forcefully driven away by this the host community.
Because the host communities, in most cases, are really not taken care of. There is no infrastructure, nothing to show that some form of exploitation is happening in their areas. Some communities don't have potable water. They don't have any proper network, road network. They cannot even, some communities cannot even send their produce, the agricultural produce to available markets. And now in this deltaic area, we have so many we have so many oxbow lakes, which could serve as aquaculture centers, and a lot of fish can be produced. And when that is done, then the follow-up could be the establishment of a canning industry, which will now create employment.
Okay. The issue of blame game has been in existence before now. That's blame game between the federal government and the people of this region. Now, outside the blame game now, do you think the people of this region, they are really ready for development? Do you think they are ready for development? Because I had an interview with His Highness, the Honorable of Tumbia, and he said something there. He said some of them, because of the big money involved in this thing, they don't want. That's why they don't want to embrace amnesty, and they don't want to repent. So, with that in mind, do you think that these people are ready to accept the development the way federal government is bringing it, having tested money, from bunkering?
Well, I think a lot of people are ready. In fact, all they need is empowerment, financial and otherwise. For instance, microcredit loans can be given to persons to establish. If that is done, people are ready. I can assure you of that. Even myself, now as I'm talking to you, I have plans to make a fish pond, and I would need some empowerment, financial.
Okay, you are saying you need, but I'm talking about this youth now that are involved in this bunkering and kidnapping business. Youths that are involved in this bunkering, you understand? Are they ready for the developmental approach of the federal government?
I don't know where the approach the federal government is taking, but if they are sincere enough, if they get hold of such fellows, they should now explore areas where they can make them refine these products in the proper way.
There have been insinuations here and there in the country, and even within the region, that there are some persons who sponsor this cartel of oil pipeline vandalism and crude oil, illegal way of refining this oil. How true is this?
Well, I can't tell you much because I cannot claim to know what I don't know. So I don't know much about that.
All right. Moving away from that, sir. Moving away from that, but we are still talking on the bunkering and this illegal refinery. The security forces go after these people. Sometimes they destroy their local refinery sites. Some of them are arrested and some of them are taken to court, sent to jail. Do you think that is proper?
They should be rehabilitated, not sent to jail.
In what way, sir?
Like I mentioned, ask them to get the material, the implements they are using, the implements, and make them give them refined implements, proper implements to refine the
equipment,
oil.
proper
equipment, yes.
Yeah, to refine the crude oil.
Yes, the crude oil. Get them properly employed.
By the government.
Yes.
The government should employ them now but they have been doing it on their own now without anybody employing them. That means we are saying that the government should still be in control of this.
No, the government should give licenses to those who want to do that business.
Okay.
There are those who they are ready to do it. That is why they are not given the license to do it. If they were given the license, they will now be told the type of instruments they will use for refining the petroleum products.
I asked a question earlier. Why I asked that question was because of the time we are in now. Our government will say there's no money. You are saying, providing a solution that government should give them money. And that's why I asked that question. That do you think that these people that are involved in this thing will want to back out? Because if they come out, there's this fear that government will say, okay, we don't have money to give to you.
Well, I think it is over dependence on sale of the crude oil. As I said earlier, we have failed to exploit other natural resources and develop them. We have the raw material for glass making, that is sand. Now, if we get back to the brackish water area, we have mangrove trees, the barks where we can produce tannins. Those are chemicals which we can export and get foreign exchange. A lot of things that should be done in the Niger Delta area that is not done. The federal government is only concentrating on selling crude oil. Over dependence on this sales of crude oil and not developing the people and the resources within the region, thereby creating also employment. By creating employment, the people are developed. And then there's the tendency for all these criminal activities will just go away.
So there are other resources in the Niger Delta.
Yes.
The federal government can look into.
Exactly.
To bring about
employment
and development.
Yes.
Employment and development. Yes. Okay. Now, these other resources, are they as lucrative as oil?
I can't tell you.
Because if you're asking me to leave, if you're asking me to leave something, like another part of Nigeria now, they'll be talking about this diversification from oil. But me, I'm looking at it. This is my own opinion anyway. I'm looking at it that the federal government, it will not be easy for federal government to diversify from the oil alone, because for now, the oil is the only produce, you understand, product that, has taken us into the international scene. You understand, international market. No any other produce. Gone are those days that groundnut. It's not that we don't have the capacity to still produce groundnut to that magnitude. We still have the capacity, like palm oil now. But the question now is, are we truthful to ourselves? As an elder, do you see any truth in all this thing? Or in all this campaign of diversification?
Yes, there is truth. Even before 1956, when oil was discovered in commercial quantity near Oloibiri, Nigeria was relying mainly on palm oil and kernel in the east here. Then in the west on cocoa. In the north, there were groundnut pyramids. Now this oil thing is something that may dry up any time. When that dries up, where do we go? So this is the time the resources, the oil resources should be used to industrialize. We have refused to industrialize.
Is it industrialize the whole nation or industrialize the region alone? Because we are talking pertaining the region.
You will, they say charity begins at home. You will industrialize where you are getting the produce. That is where the industries will be sited there. If you want to, for instance, like this, I just gave the example I just gave, like glass industry. You have to cite one glass industry, even at Yanagua here. One glass factory. Because the raw material is just around Yanagua here. Okay, you can cite a canning industry too. canning industry. People who produce the fish. You can it and export it. A lot of things.
All right, sir. That is that for industrialization. We will still come back to this bunkering thing. You understand? Now, we have to talk about the psychology of the people of this region. Many people have said that youth of this region are not ready to work. That they just want free thing. Something that is free. Just combo it. Just bring it. When you bring them, we just eat them. They are not ready to work with their hands. So if federal government sets these industries, are the youth ready to work? That is the question.
The youth will be ready to work. What is why the youth may not be ready to work is just one aspect of corruption. So if you want to eradicate corruption, you will make the youths work.
How would the federal government or state government make them work when they have lucrative business like kidnapping and bunkering, oil refinery, local illegal refining of oil?
If you create these jobs, as mentioned now, and the jobs are there, and then you start using the security agents to stop them from the bunkering, they will all turn around to the jobs created. You see, jobs are not created, and so they just have to go that way. And since they know too that a few persons who are in corridors of power and this thing, they are stealing money, money that belongs to everybody, because they are there. So they used to want to get money too, without working for it. That is what.
So are you in support of the youth in what they are doing?
Why should I be in support of that? That is a very serious corrupt activity. So I'm not in support of it.
Okay, so what do you advise the youth now to do, now that they find themselves in this situation?
They should be creative. They should think of something that they will do, either physically or otherwise. They should be creative.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. We really appreciate your coming to our program, and we believe that if you have other issues, we will still get back to you and you will accept us, sir.
Okay,
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
God bless
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Royal Television, showcasing the Niger Delta.